Welcome to part 2 of Bunny Designs, working in Fairy Miracles. Just have to reset the laptop. So I started this page with the Derwent watercolour pencils. I'm just going to clip that down. So I'm picking 3 colours that are either next to each other on the colour wheel or of the same tone. And then blending them with a brush. I brought my Derwent #1 brush, so if I was out I would use this because it's already got its water to it. So I'll do one page with a couple of brushes. So I've repurposed a toothbrush holder to hold my brushes. I'm using quite small brushes here. Oh, I can't believe that. He hasn't brought any water through. Have you brought me everything through? I don't have any water, so unfortunately I'm going to have to use my water brush. Haven't got any water, guys. I haven't got a tissue either, so I have to use the hand. Disaster striking today. I think what I'm going to do, I'll do a different page because it wouldn't be fair, so I can do a comparison of using the Derwent water brush or using an ordinary brush. So I'll do this page in full, and then when hubby gets back I'll go back to the other one. So I'm still using my Derwent watercolour pencils, which I have in my BTSKY. Oh, they're my Inktense. I've got my Inktense pencils and my Derwent pencils, watercolour. I've got the Graphy Tint and I've got the Colour Soft. I think this holds 360 pencil, I think. And you've got 4 sleeves, but you can take them out. So I kind of like that, so I can work with my colours if I want to. Right, so I have to remember not to move because the camera's wedged on the sofa. So let's have a quick look. I'll do the diamond first, or the jewel. I do actually quite like the purples, and I do have a couple of pieces of photocopy paper because I need to just have a bit of a practice to see. Although having said that, we've got green leaves, we could have an amethyst, or we could have an emerald, or we could have a ruby. Actually, we've got red toadstools, and then we've got the green leaves, and we can have these touch of pink. I think an amethyst will be quite good. So I'm going to be looking at the purples. So the pens I was using earlier, the pencils, what I did is I put them back, but I put them back facing the wrong way. So that means I know I've been working with these. So all the others are the right way around. And I know I've been working with these today. So just as a reference, because I forget what colours I'm working with. So if you have to go break off and make tea and then come back, you can do that. So what do I need? I do have a Violet Lake. So I've got two purples there, a Violet Lake, and then I want a darker one, but I wanted it more of a tone. We'll try dark violet. So just as a practice, $26. These are very soft, beautiful watercolor pencils. 25 is dark violet, but what I want is, this is Red Violet Lake 24. So I'm going to put that one next. I think the red one is the one that's I might not use because it's a bit red. And I said, just got to take the water brush today. And what we want is, we want to go from a very dark so we want all those different tones there. I think the red one too red. So again, you don't have to do this. It's just if this is the way you want to go. I'll try that one. I think that red purple is just a bit too red, when the others are more of a blue. So I've picked 3 other colors. I've picked light violet, imperial purple, and dark violet. Hi Marilyn, welcome to Bunny Designs. So we'll start again. 26. And I've fallen in love with these pencils again. I haven't used them for a while. 23 and 25. So what we want to do is go from light to dark. So we need these colors to kind of look, and look how they just blend beautifully. Kind of like that. That would be fine. So how I've traditionally used them before, the light coming that way, the light coming that way. If the light comes that way, it's going to hit the top of those, the top of his head. So I think we'll go that way. So where I normally scratch a color and then manipulate it to nothing, this is a darker, stronger way to work. So basically, what's going to happen, and I normally do them in different places, but at the minute I'm thinking this is where you sometimes have to be a little bit careful, but you can mix as many colors together as you want. So I can mix and you do more unusual colors than possibly would have done before. So this particular way of working is I'm actually covering every bit of the white. There's no white anywhere. And that's because I want, oh, hi Melody, welcome back, part 2. I'm safe on the sofa now. So we're going to start with the palest, and if you see, oh sorry, I just have to be a bit careful. But look how they melt into nothingness. It is a lot easier with the Derwent #1 brush. It gives, if you activate just the tip, you get a beautiful smooth colour. So then we can go over here. I'm hoping my shadow lights hand's not in the shadows. Again, you've got to remember this is an ordinary colour book, so we can't be very wet. But if you were to push down and do this, you get lots of water. But if you just activate the tip, you get a lovely soft amount of water, and you can activate the Neos, you can activate the Derwent watercolor pastels, you can activate. So I'm going darker because, and the beauty of this is you don't have to scribble it into every line, because you can push the color with a paintbrush, and you're a lot more accurate with a paintbrush than a pencil. So if I'm going darker, I'm going to keep this going. Hi, hello, I've just got a big girl. I'm in the lounge so everybody can get to me. Go sit down, Frankie, good girl. My daughter's just gone to work, so she's lost, aren't you? So I do have some colour on my brush, but it's not going to bother me too much because I've done my lights over here. And if I have made a boo-boo, then after 24 hours, I can go back in there and put a couple of darker ones just to make sure that we've got all the different tones. You can push that. Once you get the colour on, you can push it where you want it. And I'm just using the tip, and those scratch marks have all disappeared because it's beautiful watercolour in a stick, basically, and they melt. And I've missed a little bit there, so I'm going to put a dark there. So if you have poorly hands, you can scratch just a little bit of colour, and then when you activate it, you've got a lovely rich. And if you've got a little bit extra somewhere, you can tone down. See how much colour I picked up? And it's all dried. So we ended up using Imperial Purple, and 26 is Light Violet, and 25. So they're the colours that I used. I'm not quite sure about the readiness in one of them, but it's fine. Now, I quite like the fact that these are going to be really, very strong colours, and that's because we are covering, whereas normally I just scratch a little bit of colour and then manipulate it with the water. This way, we're having full solid colour. So you have to think about colour a little bit differently, but I do have my reference numbers there for that. So I'm going to put my bit of paper at the back so I can scribble on it if I need to. So because I've used these colours, I'm actually going to put them in backwards, just temp. I can put them in order later, just in case I find another one. Although I don't think there are any other ones on there. So we've got the gold ring. So we want 3 yellows. And in this set, we do have actually a gold colour. So we would like have a primrose yellow for the light, gold for the dark, and then I would probably use something like a straw or a bronze for a shadow of the gold ring. But before I do that, I think I'm going to do the I think I'm going to do the flowers. Oh, there's her dress. So we've got the dress and the wings. I think the dress and the wings may be the same. They look very similar. So we've definitely got a pink, or maybe a pinky peach. I did want to do the flowers. And again, if we look at the flowers, we've got a rose pink, we've got a flesh colour, and then we've got a pink madder. In actual fact, I think I'm going to use those 3 colours. I think I'll use those 3 colours. Oh no, Melody, this is the same book, Fairy Miracles. But what happened is my husband didn't bring the water through. So I can't use the brushes, but luckily I did have my Derwent watercolour brush. So I'm going to go back to this in part 3 and finish it when he comes back. But I thought I'd start another one because I just can't get up at the minute. So if you notice here, we've got a light, a medium, and a dark. And if you're not sure, because I've not used these combinations before, what I want to do is to just give a hint of a colour on the primroses. So it's like normally like the tips are just covered in a colour. So we've got the light and the dark and the peach colour. So they almost go to nothing. So we'll try it the other way. Normally you lose your colour as you go along, but that's going to give quite a nice effect. So I can write down 18, 16, 17 and 18. So we've got 16, 17 and 18. Primrose. I'll do this one first. So artist. Oh, now normally I like the darkest in the middle, but I think I'm going to have, I'm going to have the lightest in the middle. And although you can't see this, and any curl obviously has to be the lightest, and then I'm going to have the medium pink in the middle. And I'm not going to worry about the stamens. I'm more interested in the lovely blend at the moment. And just around the tip. Again, if I don't get right to that pencil edge, I'm not bothered because I can pick up the colour, and by the time I stroke to the edge, I'm going to have a lovely effect, hopefully. So clean brush. Start in the middle. And you can't really see anything going on at the minute until we touch that pink. And then we bring that up. And that's a really delicate, soft colour. Maybe it's a bit too delicate. Let's see. But you can always darken things. It's a lot easier to lighten them. So if I want that darker, I can put a tint of something else. But actually, I think that looks quite dainty. And I'm going to go over all the stamens and snowflakes and things with some white gouache at the end. So just manipulating that down there. So here we go. So it's very, very faint. But I kind of like that because I think it'll show up Of course, the other thing you can do is to go through the entire page and the entire book, scratching colour, and then take the book with you, just a watercolour brush. Remember, if you make a dark underneath a light, the lighter looks light. So manipulate that bit and then draw that lovely colour down. Manipulate that bit and then push that colour up. Oh, that was a sneeze. Stolen Frankie's seat, so she's not happy. So again, we're using that one. So you can either do each flower, do each pencil colour. It's entirely up to you how you do it. Now you can mix quite a few colours. You don't have to just mix 3. You can mix quite a few colours. Again, you can do all the cream. Now, if you noticed, I'm actually rubbing it quite a lot, so I'm actually picking up a lot of water instead of that lovely light soft touch manipulating the tip. Now normally I would turn the book upside down as well, so it's a lot easier to use because you're not going backwards and forth for clean water. Now, if we can put a dark background in, these primroses will really pop out. So again, that could influence the colours. You have a bit of a think of the colours first. You normally have a bit of an idea what you're doing. Sorry, Frankie can't settle. She never settles, bless her. Sit down. I have a nose. Yes, it's a fairy nose. Thank you. Good girl. Done that one. It's very difficult for me to work light. I'm normally quite a bright girl, but I just thought these little primroses lend themselves to just and the curls where the petals curl over I can leave because when I picked up the light colour I can just carefully swipe the brush over the top and get the desired look. So I'm going to do that bit there. I have to say I do like the brush, but I wanted to show you a different version. But it's so easy with this brush. You just gently little strokes to manipulate that beautiful watercolor, and that gets, and then you stroke over the top of that highlight, and it is there, but just barely, and of course that makes it better. Now you can go back in there. If I go back in there with the gouache, I might go back in there with a darker, just to go over the shadows and the lights. So again, manipulate that colour. And if this was any stronger, you'd have to clean your brush every time. But because the watercolour brush is well behaved, I'm getting away with it. It's a lot easier to do this than having to move your arm to dunk. There's just a bare colour on there. Well, there's the Alpha, there's Frankie Doodles, and just there is Alfie. Thank you, Frankie. And then we've got the girls, the cats. Betsy's somewhere here. Sometimes I'm thinking I might leave that white colour. Oh, I've decided I'm going to put the white gouache on the toadstools. So I possibly could do that. I'm not going to keep these colours out because I know what they are. So I'm going to put them away right side round, because technically I've finished that particular rose. I'm not going to use that again. We've got some little berries on here. Very slightly. We've got fairy wings there, and her dress. I think I might want to do her dress next. Or I may do the green leaves, because there's quite a few tucked away. Sometimes if you get something that's behind, then when I do the dress, I've got a bit more definition. So I did like the other combination of those greens I used yesterday. What they are, but we'll look for. Oh, I've got them out. So these are the greens that I used, and I have to say I prefer my vintage set. And I've just found 2 more of these because these are a bit short now. So I've got May green, grass green, and indigo. So I've got 48. I've got 49. And I've got 35 indigo. And 36. Sorry, 36. So I use the dark green. I use the dark green. I beg your pardon. I use the indigo, the dark blue, for the shadows of the grass. And that's what it looks like. So so that's using the 3 colours and the 3 greens. Oh, hi, Nicotina Colours. Welcome to Bunny Designs. Anybody else that's popping in? So that's the colours that I've been using in a 3. So we've got a pale pink, we've got a madder pink, and then a dark. And with the green, there's a light, a medium, and then the indigo. And when the indigo is pushed back, it becomes a dark green, not the blue that we see. So that's the kind of, I was playing about with the watercolours and that's what I came up with. So I want 48 May green 48. I need 36, which is the indigo, and then 49, which is cedar green, sap green. So these are the exact same colours, but they're in the newer models. So if you see them with a dark blue strip of colour of pencil, they are the new ones. If you see them in this colour, these are a vintage set, but the colour is a little bit more waxier. And then you can see them, and they're really early in the grey. So with the greens, I'll do this leaf. So where it's the pale, and then I want the mid colour, and then I need the blue. So again, manipulate this colour. And then we start to blend in the green. And if I go all the way up, I will lose my highlight. So I have to clean the brush and then work back. Now, it's a bit wetter to do that when you have the water brush. Oh, I smudged it a little because it's a slightly bit wetter. So we've got one colour in the green and then the dark. So you have more control and it's not quite as wet. Nigel, could you do me a favour? Could you pass me the water, please? And my little sponge. And my baby wipe, whichever it is. Thank you. Yes, please, darling. So we get a lovely effect like that. But it is slightly wetter. So don't smudge it like I did. It's a slightly wetter way to work. But again, the pencils are really nice. There is this very slight difference in the pigment of the vintage set, and for that reason I do like them. Could you put my paintbrush up? My hands are shaking today. Thank you. Thank you.
Where's your baby wipes? Where's the baby wipes?
I use hand wipes, but
Not on that table.
I think so. This is just that bit wetter, so you've got a bit more. So thank you. Thank you. Just going to prop that up there if I can. So it's just a bit easier to keep things a bit drier, that's all. Because remember, we're in a colour book. If we were on a watercolour paper, well, then we can scrub as much as we like. but we're not, so we have to be a little bit careful. So we can just activate the tip of that brush, push the colour around, and blend in the next colour. Until we hit that very dark one. Shh. And again, you can go around all the leaves, putting the pale green in if you want. This is good if you're going on the beach, or if you're going on a holiday somewhere really hot and you don't want to take your pencils. You can just scratch all the colour. And these particular pencils, you can shut the book and it's dried. You can blend these pencils dry. This is, if I could only have one product, this would be it, because it's a pencil and it's a watercolour, and I'm going to be using these quite a lot. Especially when I'm doing the dry stone walls, because splatters and sprinkles with a pencil is just absolutely amazing, and far more control than with a toothbrush or flicking a brush. So I shall be using that when I do a couple of paintings of the Abbey in watercolours. Some of these are light fast and some aren't, but watercolours were meant to sit and be treasured in the dark, not put on a wall. So I'll finish this particular one. I've forgotten the dark. I've forgotten to do the very dark bits. So you could just, if you did the whole page, and you could do the whole book, and then if you did want extra colour, you could just go back over it. But working with this brush is so nice to just blend these beautiful pencils very gently. And anything that's done very gently is very therapeutic. I love working in realism when I'm using oils, but they're not kind of therapeutic to work in oils. It's not. You've got to be mixing colours and opening tubes of paint, which I find very difficult. So. Although I did tell my daughter yesterday that she will be wanting to be live on the show on the other channel when I teach her how to use oils and acrylics. There's a beautiful pale highlight right on the top of that leaf. So manipulate that green and get it to go right to the edge. And then, and because these are professional watercolors, they blend. The pigment in them is wonderful. So I think I'm going to tackle her dress next. I think I quite fancy some yellows. Just check for other green leaves. So the other leaves are different leaves. So I'm going to do them a different colour. Make sure that your baby wipe does not touch And then we've got to think about the stems. I'll think about those in a minute. They just melt like butter. Wonderful to work with. I've got a little bit of green on there, so I was going to use it as a... The other way you can do it if you want direct, a lot of strong colour, is to touch the tip. You never put the tip in the water. It splits the wood and damages. Need more stalks. See how long that lasted? 2 or 3 strokes. They're very, very, very strong, are these. Very well pigmented. I found another leaf. Notice when I scribble, I'm not really touching the edge. I'm not going near the edge, because when you've activated it with water, you can push it about and push it up to the line. It has. I've got bunnies. I think it's bunnies. Yeah. Oh, I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's bunnies. I think I shall have to have a. I haven't got anything on there at the moment. But that's all going to be oils and acrylics and watercolors, but not color books. It's traditional painting and color mixing and things like that. I think. Oh, I've got another little bit just there, so it's nice to use the mid-tone. And of course I dropped a boo-boo there when I smudged it, but we'll go over that. I think that's everything. Oh, we've got some little ones here. I think they actually do look like... Oh no, they belong to this one. I think I'm going to do her dress next. And I wrote the numbers of the greens down, so I can put them away, and if I do need them, I can get them out again. So that goes on the blues. And I do like this pencil case because they're easy to get in and out of, and they're safe. That you don't really need to put them in the right order. But yeah, I just put the tip in and then push them. So they are very easy to look, to put away, and they're very, very handy. And I do love the fact that if I want a certain color, I can go to the color page, which is the blues and the greens are on here, and then it's all the case of just looking across and see which one I want. I think I said yellows, didn't I? I've got to be a bit careful because the ring's going to be gold, but a peach colour. There's a lot of red in the toadstools. I think I might do the toadstools actually, because... Thank you, darling, thank you. Could I have a thingy, Nigel, please? Right. Yeah, I'm going to do the toadstools because I'm not quite sure what colours to do her. So the toadstools, I like the deep vermilion. I like Geranium Lake. It's one of my favourite colours is Geranium Lake. And I have, are we going pink or are we going peach? We could have Geranium Lake. Madder Carmine. And I did want the burnt carmine on the bottom. I do like the burnt carmine, so I need to get that because it's with the greys for some reason. So it's with the browns. I don't know why they put it with the browns. So again, if I'm not quite sure of the colours, do a quick sketch colour. So that one's number 50. That one is 19. And then that one is 65 burnt carmine. And then we'll get the colours blended. And then you can see that that works quite nicely. And again, I'm not leaving big gaps like I did before. I'm going to try and keep within the whites, although the gouache will go on top. And we've got the next. And because I'm not leaving any white of the paper, the colours are going to be a lot stronger. Normally I would just scratch a bit of colour on the bottom and then blend it out to nothing, but this way we get a lot stronger. So I think we'll just see what that one looks like. And because we're using little circular motions, I think we might just get away with getting around all those white. I think the spores, are they there? Again, it's a very soft way to work. It's very calming. It's very tranquil, and it's quiet. You're not rattling pencils. You're using 3 pencils at a time, so you can hold 3, whereas if you're using a lot more, you can drop them. You're just using a very soft motion, and because the brush is doing all the work with the water, you're not having to pick up water and move about. It doesn't hurt your hands as much. Oh, sorry guys, I didn't realise I wasn't in thingy. Sorry. Again, it's so peaceful, you could almost nod off. I've got some dark purple at that side, so I'm going to come back in the middle. Because although it's rounded that way, it's also rounded that way. And so you can change the tones from the side to side as well. Just before we hit that really dark. Now, if you wanted a stronger colour, there's no reason why tomorrow, after 24 hours,
I'm sorry.
Okay then. All right, darling. Thank you. There might be one. There might be one in my. No, thank you. Can't, Nigel, I'm live. I might want look in my brown bag, darling. There might be one. It's in the conservatory, I think. I've just gone really shaky all of a sudden. So just tease that colour. I think it goes quite well. I think it's going quite well. I don't think it's too strong or too weak. So they're working quite well because I'm not leaving any white. You can, of course, use them as an ordinary pencil. That's why I love these Derwents. If I could only have one thing, I would use the Derwent watercolor pencils because you can get beautiful watercolor effects. You can use them on watercolor paper as a watercolorist. You can use them as a blendable pencil. They blend. You can use them as a watercolor pencil, and you can scrape some color into a shallow pan, and you can make a wash to do traditional watercolors. And I will be doing one of those because I've got a picture of the Abbey that I quite like, and so there will be some washes on there. So I've got a couple of stretched watercolor papers ready. And again, on the other channel, when my daughter comes back, I'll be demonstrating how to stretch your watercolor paper so it never buckles. Doesn't matter how much water you use, it always dries flat. And all you want is a flat board and some gum paper. Oh, I quite like that one. The shadows come that bit more, but I was a bit stronger with the colors than this one. But again, that's quite nice because you can do different colors. So we'll do these two next. Now my hand's beginning to ache a little bit because I really can't use pencils at all. But that's just me. But I think you can get a nice watercolor effect And you can also mix lots of colours together. When I did the pineapple one, and when I did the Harry Potter stones, when I did the Harry Potter when I did the page in the Kirby Roseanne, I had 16 colours on the fronds of the pineapple. And then when I blended them together, they just absolutely went perfect. You can't blend 16 colours with any other watercolour because you'll get mud. You can, of course, work from a paper palette. I've got all my Derwents in a paper palette in a little book. And that's for a very delicate watercolour. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Hi, Pamela. Welcome to Bunny Designs. Anybody else popping in? A mouthful of tea. I love the pencils because you can use them very pale or you can use them quite strong. And as I say, on that pineapple, Kirby Roseanne's pineapple page, one side I did Inktense and one side I did watercolor pencils, and you can't tell the difference. So that shows you that you can get a very intense color, and these are professional watercolors. You don't need the Inktense. As much as we love them, you know, if you could only have one set, this is the set to have. Obviously, they're not as strong if you use them very, very, very strong, because they're an ink base, because that's how they get the strength. But if you're using them to get it some deep colors, you can do. As I say, you can blend over the top. I think I did a Christmas page where I blended. I didn't use any water. I just blended the Derwent watercolor pencils together. So you've got a blendable pencil and you've got your watercolor pencil. Oh, sorry, I'm splashing a bit. No, not splashing, shaking a bit. You see if you can get some very dark. This is why I can't use pencils though. Really scrubbing dark isn't good for me. Those really scribbly marks I made just melt. And I'm picking more colour up as I go. So when I get to the bottom, the really strong pink is going to mix so well with that dark. We push it to the edge to make it look neater. I'm getting a little bit of a buckle because I'm working a bit. So again, we've got a little bit of a shadow on. Oops, wait. So do that little one. I think that's the last one. And I still haven't got a sharp point. I don't waste my paint. Every strip of colour here is going to go. Oops, somebody's dreaming. So thanks for popping in, guys. Hope everybody's okay. We've had some weird weather in the UK again. We've had flood warnings yesterday and sunny. This Derwent #1 brush is such a fine brush. It's very understated, is this little brush. But I am just manipulating the tip. I'm trying to keep out of my light, guys, sorry. And it just glides, activates the colour. So lovely. And you can take that right to the edge. Oh, right, Marilyn. I have to have a look at that. I've got some excuse me, some rubbing, whatever it is. But it's my own fault. I like using, that's why I use my watercolor book. That's why I do that. It's, yeah, it's. I have a painkiller. I forgot what it's called now. Some kind of gel. Ibuprofen gel, I think it is. So I think no more mushrooms. So then I can put these away. So I'm going to put the burnt carmine back with the browns, number 65. Did I write number 65 down? Yeah, 65. Burnt carmine. I normally don't have to write that one down because if it's a red or if it's a red or a pinky red or a purple, I use burnt carmine. If it's a cool blue or a cool purple or a cool green, I use indigo. And if it's a brown or a fawn or a grey, I use sepia. And they're my shadow colours. I can't find sepia now, but it's they're my shadow colours. Instead of using black, if that makes any sense. So if it's a blue or a purple or a green, I will use indigo. I will use indigo. If it's a green as well, I'll use indigo, which is there. So we've got indigo there. If it's a purpley red, I'll use carmine. And then if I had any trees or woods, I use sepia for a shadow. So that looks quite, let's see if I can pan out a bit. Don't know if I've panned in too far. No, it's not made any difference whatsoever. So I think I'll do her dress next. I like brown mice rather than grey mouse, but I've got some nice greys in this set. There is some really nice greys. I do like this set because it's got kind of the max amount of colours, the 72, but there's no reason why you can't scratch two of these colours together and make 40 greys. So we've got silver grey, French grey, gunmetal, blue grey, and I kind of like those. I make my own Payne's grey with French ultramarine and burnt umber, and you could do this with my burnt umber. There's burnt umber and French ultramarine or ultramarine. So you've got burnt umber and ultramarine, and 50-50 gives you a grey. Slightly more blue gives you Payne's grey, and slightly more brown makes a warm sepia. So you get 3 greys out of these two colours. That's why I very rarely use grey. I like to mix my own. So we've got a cool grey, a blue grey, we've got Payne's grey, and then we've got a sepia, which is a very, so I do mix these colors, and that's for acrylics, oils. Use these two colors for your grays and they'll always be amazing. Payne's grey out of a tube is dead flat. If you have to use Payne's grey, for goodness sake, stick with it. So if you stick blue with Payne's grey, you're going to get a bluey grey. If you put red with Payne's grey, you're going to get a reddy grey. And if you put a green with it, you get a very dark green grey. And if you put a brown with it, you're going to get a warm brown, or a cool brown, a cool grey brown, which is sepia. So you can make indigo sepia and burnt carmine with your greys. But it warms them up. Same with your blacks. Do the same with the blacks. Then you've got a reddy black. If you're doing a red shadow, you've got a blue black. If you're doing the sea or a dirty puddle or a stream or a dark shadow in the sky, a lovely cloud, a black cloud, use blue in your black, and that will make you a blue grey, a blue black. And purple and red for warm. And I use a blue one, but you can put green to a black, and you kind of get a tint of a very mucky yellow or mucky green. But again, if you're doing a dirty pond or you're doing moss or some kind of lichen that's growing on a wall or something, those cooler shadows could be quite nice. So her dress, and we've got a red, we've got a green, we've got a purple. So she could be pink, or she could be the pinks, but not a reddy pink, a peachy pink. So if we're not sure, let's have a look. Again, she could be a orange, but sometimes orange isn't brilliant, but we could make it quite nice. Remember, I'm going to do the gold ring first, because that will determine the dress. So we've got a gold color number 3. We've got straw yellow, which is a highlight. And then I'm going to look at the browns. For a darker one. So it's either brown ochre or sienna. I think we'll use an ochre. Or raw umber. Raw umber's darker. I think we'll try dark. So again, of the ring. And then I've got a flat facet there, so I use that. But then if I want a point, I can turn it, and I've got a sharp point. Otherwise, I use that facet, flat facet, almost like using a pencil sideways. Actually, I wonder if you could colour like this. Might be a better way to hold them. So we've got the ring on the outside and the ring on the inside. And then we want, oh, that was the straw, I've done it wrong. That was the straw. This is the gold. So it will go over the top. And we've got the straw here. I'll put straw there as well. And then we've got Yellow ochre probably would be good, but it's probably going to mix in with the yellow ochre. And just put some gold in there as well, because that's going to make that a very rich colour. And then start, oops, I didn't clean the brush when I'd had blue on it. You need to start where you want it to be the palest. Got a bit of movement on there. Oh, hi, Dana. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. Oh, thank you, Marilyn. Thank you. Don't know if that brown was probably the wrong colour. But the gold is very strong, so I can go over that if I need to a bit later. And then I think we'll just have a gold, very strong gold colour there. Got a nice highlight on that side. And that's made a big difference now on what I use. So thanks, guys, for stopping by. I hope everybody's okay. I'm just going to have a mouthful of tea. I've got a croaky voice today. There's a gorgeous chrome orange here and Naples yellow. I think they'd be quite nice for her dress. There's Naples yellow orange chrome. And Spectrum Orange. I think they might look quite nice together. I'll just have a practice. Just drink a tea. So we've got number 7. Number Chrome Orange, number 10. And then for our deep, we've got number 11, which is Spectrum Orange. So we want to go Spectrum Orange. That looks quite nice. So if you wanted a watercolor effect, you could get this, the darkest color, and then just use a water brush and go lighter and darker, but we don't want to do that today. Can't be too light because we've got the gold. So let's start with the gold and then blend in that orange and then go in for the deep color. Oh, sorry guys, I've got to show you this. If I can turn the camera. He's snoring. Socks off. Alfie, Alf, you dreaming? No dreaming, mummy. I dreaming. It's a hard life, isn't it, Alfie? Sorry, guys, had to have an Alfie cam. God, he was dreaming. I think he's too tired to move the sofa. I go back to sleep now. Good night, Alfie. It's a little pig. Did you know I had a little pig? I had a little pig. Oh, actually, that's quite good, actually, because I've put in me more of the picture, I think. More of the picture. Oh, I quite like that sleeve. That's quite nice. So what did we have? I wondered if I should do the dress. Oh, this is the lightest one, this one, isn't it? So we could kind of have the highlights there. And the next one in the troughs kind of thing. And then I think that one's light as well. That one. And that one's... You can go over the top of these with these as well. You don't have to be misprecise. And then in the darkest, maybe just a little bit. So we want to do the tops first, because that's the highlight. They just melt like butter. They are really beautiful. But the fact that you can actually use them as well, it's pretty awesome. If I go down there now and pick out this dark, it'll make the ring stand up. And I can blend this in. And just need a little bit on there. So the next one is darkest. And then the highlights. And then the mediums. So I'll take the light ones first, do the highlights. And do the next colour in. It's a bit of her dress there, but just a bit. I think the dark one could be slightly darker actually. It needs, the shadows aren't brilliant, but what I might do is go back in and put the shadows in later and the white gouache. So that's the mushroom. Is that her leg then? Do we think that's a leg? I'm quite tempted to do her wings the same colour as her dress. I think I'm quite tempted. So I'll take the palest. Should have a lovely rich colour at the bottom. Oh, thank you, Melody. Thank you. I must drink my tea, guys. I'm sorry, I've got a really bad cough. My daughter took me to see her degree show in Manchester yesterday, and it was very good, but the wheelchair journey absolutely floored me because I think we could have a bit of a terracotta out my piece of paper. Let's see what the terracotta is. Just kind of fancy a little bit of a stronger colour. I think I might put terracotta in there. You can use as many colours as you like. You're not restricted to. And you can push that colour right up to the, and then come back and it's always a good idea to scratch in the direction that you're going to be using. Sometimes you get a little bit carried on. They're not too bad, Melody. They're not too bad, thank you. My hands are just holding on a bit. I think I might make that dress a little bit stronger. The colours seem to be not faded, but they're not as strong as they look on here. So I can just about manage to scribble the cross, but it's when you want to go like this, press down and get a really rich dark colour. I just can't seem. Oops, sorry, I'm watching the camera thing as well. I can't seem to just get that. So that's a lot lighter pressure. In fact, I was actually doing it like that, wasn't I, before? I'd forgotten that. And then I've just managed to get a little bit of terracotta. I think it's the brush. When the brush starts, it's just push it about where you want it, and you can be a bit more precise then. I seem to be using slightly more of the brush than I wanted to. Again, it could have been a bit richer colour. And I keep forgetting because we're not on watercolour paper. Big area, so you've got to be a little bit careful. Once that's dry, you can go over it if you want. So I think I'm going for a bit of a richer colour this time. Again, I'm going for, sorry if the camera's shaking the page. I shouldn't really be going that way, but it's all right. And again, I've just left that little gap for a terracotta, because a terracotta isn't particularly a red, pinky red. You didn't want a pinky red when you did an orangey red. So now you see I've mixed that. I don't want to go up. If I go back up there, I will spoil my beautiful yellow highlight. You see how strong that one is compared to that one. So if I go back up to the top one and blend down, a little bit there. It's the wrong angle for me, because really what we want to do is to do, shouldn't go on here now, but we need to kind of get a really deep, rich colour under the ring, so the ring will pop up. If it's a very fine space, I can touch the colour and do that with it if I want to do that. I'm still not sure if that's her leg. I think it is. So we do have a flesh colour. The other good thing about this set is flesh colour. Oh, I've left a wing. I've forgotten a wing. Now I've got a flesh pink, so again that's a good. All my colours on here. Oh, I did scribble that, didn't I? And then I want that one, which is 64. And the pencils shouldn't break if they're in this kind of a pencil case, because they're well protected and they're not going to slide out. They're quite in there, but don't particularly hurt your hands to get them in and out. So this one's called Flesh Pink. And we're just going to put the tiniest on the cheeks. And then I shall give her some. Oops. Oh dear, that was bad. I didn't clean the brush. Oopsie. Never mind. It'll be fine. It's almost a flesh colour. I think we'll have emerald green eyes. I can give her some emerald green eyes. And right, what I've got now for the hair is 57 brown ochre, 61 copper beech, and 66 chocolate. So don't need to mess about. Again, we don't need to go where the grain is. We can go anywhere we like. We want the next one. Oh, thank you. I think she's an elf. She's got I haven't done. I'm munching biscuits, guys, so I'm just feeling a bit. Ooh. She's got skin there and an ear, which I missed. So it's just a token. And we've got some flowers to do. And then, of course, little mouse has got some butterfly wings. And what do we need to do next? I've got these little kind of flowers. I'd like to do this. I'm not quite sure. There's only that little flower there. So I think we could do that quite a pink. I don't need this colour. Just do that. And that highlight a bit better. These browns away, although I do like the browns for the toadstools actually, but maybe not the darker ones. So I'll put chocolate away. Kind of like the copper beech, but I think we're going to go with ochre. That's a darker one. And a sienna. They seem to be a little bit warm colours, those. I'll just try these colours. So, oh, that's the wobbly one. I've got two wobbly ones. It's very similar. just a bit too red, that one. I'll try a rosy now. Yeah, I've got those three colours. They look quite nice. So I think the sienna one we'll put back because it's a bit just too red, I think. Might come in nice for the mouse, that one. So I've got 56, 60 and 58. Raw umber, burnt yellow ochre and sienna for the toadstools. Oh, there's a face. It's down here. I've got an Alfie. I got an Alfie cross. I've got an Alfie cross. He's tired again. He's sleeping. It's quite funny that you just suddenly think, oh, there's an Alfie there. I think it was better that way. So these three colours. So I'm going to put the palest across. And then that one in there. So we'll do our highlights first. Really what I should be doing is pushing that colour up there a bit. And then we can pretend that this is round by putting the darkest on the outside and the palest in the middle. And then we want a bit of a shadow, but I'll put that in last. So we'll just create this middle. Oh, sorry, Marilyn, I didn't use the Copper Beach for this one. I used the Copper hair. And Copper Beach is 61. So Copper Beach is the middle tone of her hair. It's the mid-tone. In fact, it probably would be nice. That's dried now. as a kind of as a shadow. Let's have a bit of a shadow. I can put that bit in as well. Copper Beech isn't quite warm, so that's why I think it works quite well. Yeah, what did we use? The hair was 57, 61 and 66. That's chocolate and brown ochre for the highlight. But I thought I'd use one of those colours in here as well, and it works quite well. So I've got another couple of mushrooms to do there. I say what you can do is do all first if you want. So we've got the top. So that's the next one. Don't like the ends, they're kind of a bit awkward to get to. So activate the palest one first. They do melt really nicely, these. So you can really scribble and it really does not matter at all. So you can get some quite nice effects, and again they just blend nicely, so you can get either a very strong mix or you can do a very pale mix. So I think I've done all the toastals. I'm pretty sure. No, that I'm not sure what that is. So if in doubt, leave it a minute. It's 56, 60. They are really easy to put away. Hobby's brought me a cup of tea. Another one. I'll drink this one while it's hot, guys. Anybody got any questions? Have a very quick munch. Alfie's snorting. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Thank you. It was a brave thing to do an orange, but I kind of like orange with next to the purple. And I was worried about the ring, but I think the ring actually just about is gold enough. And I've got a little shadow under the toadstools. I've got the mice to do and the little berries. I think I'll do the little berries, maybe a blue purple. Or they look like blueberries actually, but I could do them. What else could I do them? I could do them a red, but like a cadmium red, not a pinky red. Well, I'm going to put a shadow under the pink dots. Thank you, Pamela. I'm going to put a shadow under them to make them really pop out. In fact, I could do that next with the burnt carmine, number 65. I'm drinking my tea. I think it's going to be stronger if I touch the paintbrush really. I'll show you what I mean. And give them a shadow. Again, I'm not using black. Oh, thank you, Marilyn. Thank you. As you can see, the boy and oh, I don't know where Frankie is. I think Frankie's in the other room. Frankie's definitely in the other room. So I think what we'll do is use the very strong method of touching the tip of the brush. And this is number 65, the burnt carmine. And just put a little shadow behind each one. Or the other way you could do it is scratch the colour. It works better on watercolour paper, and then pick it up and use it as a paper palette. Oh no, Marilyn, my daughter bought her for my middle daughter's birthday. She was 21 and she's just finished uni. That's the girl we've just been to see her work. And she, for her birthday, Samantha bought her Frankie, and she's from Romania, and they have what they call a kill list, and these dogs are herded and then they're just put ready to be killed, and then people try and save whoever's on the kill list. It sounds horrendous, and Frankie was on the kill list. So there is a difference between that toadstool, because of its shadows, and this one. So we've got quite a lot of strong colour there. And Jessie was returned. They talked about the euthanasia for Jessie because she was stressed all the time. So using that as a paper palette, you can get the colour as strong as you want. See, it works better on sketchbook paper. You can put a shadow exactly where you want one. I'll re-chat in a minute, guys, to just catch up with this shadow. This brush is a little bit big, actually. Oh, hi, Cajun. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. So you get a lot stronger colour if you touch the tip. And you can do splatter that way as well, but I'll show that on another day. But this is why I so love the Derwent watercolour pencils. They are so versatile. And I am a bit of a Derwent nut, I have to say. And unfortunately, if you give one a shadow, you've got to give them all a shadow. But it's no big deal, this. You just pick them off one by one. And really, when I'm doing my mushrooms, I give them 2 shadows. So I can just go around that one again. That's Alfie snoring. Sorry, guys. That's Alfie snoring. So you can really go into some nice detail. You do that. Oh, sorry, it hurts my hands to hold that silly book. I wonder if I tilted it, that might be a bit better. Normally you wouldn't do that over your work. I was just showing you what I do because you can splatter your work, so it's not a good idea to do that. It's just showing you how I did it and how much is needed. Sometimes you need several goes just to get that right. Oh, thank you, Cajun Sunshine. Thank you, darling. Hope you're having a good day. And that one, that one, and that one. Work with that one now. So you can colour in and then you can go back. You don't need them dry because it's not watercolour paper. It's only a colour book. So if I was on a desert island, I require those and my Derwent watercolour brush, and I'd be quite happy. at Alfie. He makes silly noises. And he's sleeping, but you don't know what he's dreaming. So I think we've got just that one here though. You certainly don't want too much. Bit too dark. If you see too much darkness, it overdoes it. But oh, bye, Pamela. Have a good walk. You could take Alfie if you wish. Alfie likes to walk sometimes. Sometimes he does. I think I've done every toadstool. And they might look a bit brighter when I get the white gouache. Although I haven't done so bad with those. It's the other side that I was using them. So I think I want a deeper green, I think, for those flowers. I'm going to do the buds first. Got to remember to clean the paintbrush because... So I think I said a red, didn't I? So I've got... I always like Geranium Lake. I like Geranium Lake. So I've got Geranium Lake and the Scarlet. And because it's not a pinky red, I think I'm going to use chocolate. You see, a set of pencils can't be all bad if it's got one called chocolate. So we take our scrappy bit of paper, and we've got, excuse me, Scarlet Lake. Number 12. Oh dear, excuse me. 15. And then I think I'm going to have a look at number 6. Sorry, 60. 66. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I had a bit of a coughing fit then. So scratch the 3 colours in and we'll activate it now. So we'll do the middle first. And then we'll bring in that next red colour. So to the mid. Maybe the chocolate was just a bit too dark. Thank you.
You want me to call up what cost for you?
We'll go tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
Wait a sec. You can do, I suppose. We need a cup of tea, so that's quite nice. So if you go straight into the dark, you'll get the dark first. I kind of just want to bring that in afterwards and clean the brush, because if you go back on yourself, because this is a slightly wetter brush, the other one wouldn't matter to do that as much, but this one, and then we'll just activate that dark. Excuse me, guys, I'm just like a frog. I'm going to turn that over because obviously we've got that silly crease in the page, the spine, which always gets in the way when you want to have. I suppose if you're right-handed, you'd be okay, but being left-handed, I have to rearrange things slightly. And the last one is just not bringing that brown too far. So what we've got some of the leaves, and we've got the bigger leaves there. And then we have the mice to do. And I've just found this particular mushroom here has the gills underneath, so I need a pail. And again, chocolate and copper beech. It seems to be quite a nice, and it's just a bit of a scratch, that's all. And then, sorry, it's poddling in and out. Frankie, will you settle down? Mr. Poddling in and out, please. You see the new girl? She's here. Good girl, Frankie. So we had visitors yesterday, and Frankie was as good as gold, and Alfie was his snappy self. Oh, I just realised, I think that copper beech, I might use the copper beech under there. Just to give it. Just a bit of a shadow. Oh, hi, and welcome to Bunny's Designs. Your little boy. He's been very naughty. There's your little boy. Being a bad puppy. And the big girl is on the sofa. Frankie's been a good girl. Alfie! Alfie! Alf! Absolutely ignoring me. Hello. He says, hello, darling. Oh, no. Oh, he's here. Hello. You've been a good boy. No, Mummy, haven't been a good boy. Say hello to Auntie Susie. Good wave. Good to say hello. I'm cute. I'm the cute boy on the block. Aren't I? No, Mummy, I'm not. You've been a bad puppy. You can see right up your nostril and see your brain, Alfie. Oh, look. Gunky eyes. That's a snorty pants. Isn't it? Don't mind your face. You're going to hurt yourself. That's a bit of a gunky noise. He's waving to you with his ears. Hello, Auntie Susie. Hello, Auntie Susie. I've been a naughty boy. I'm a naughty boy. I've been doing what you do. Unmentionables. Everywhere. I've got every room this week. I need a medal. I've been Auntie Susie. Hello. He's looking to see who I'm saying hello to. Confused. Confused.com. There he is. Yes. My daughter took Frankie first for a walk. So Alfie did an unmentionable on the floor because she didn't take him first. So he's not changed much. He's still bad. I'm still bad. He's still a bad puppy. He is. He's a bad boy. He doesn't get any better. I wonder if I could just try and get that to go maybe that way a bit. Maybe that way a bit. Give me a second. We have less Alfie and more colour page. There we go. There we go. Excuse me. My cough's not much better. If I wind that up, I might have to rediddle it a bit, but I can just nearly got the whole page in, haven't we? You just have to refocus it. There we go. Yes, he was a jealous boy. Yes, there's a bad puppy. As you probably see his tail. You can always see bits of essence of Alfie. We can see a bit more of the page now. So I've got the little mice. I think I'm going to do them. I could do them grey. I have some nice greys in this set. Excuse me. These Derwents, there's a silver grey, French grey, gunmetal, and blue grey. There's black that we can always kind of move with these three if we want. I think 4 greys is going to be enough. I think 4 greys. In fact, I don't know if I need 4, but we'll have a look what these look like on paper. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Thank you. So we've got 68, and that's the darkest. 69 is gunmetal. It's almost like a pencil, that one. 70 is at the French grey. Yeah, that's warm. And then we've got silver grey, which is number 71. I think I'm going to take the French. Oh, mind you, I like a warm grey for mice. I think I might take the other one, the gunmetal out. I think that might be the wrong blue, but I think this is quite nice. So we've got a very pale one. In fact, I've changed my mind. I'm going to have 70 and 69. Oh, 70s. So I've got French grey and gunmetal. And I'm going to use the black, but I'm not going to use it as a black. I'm going to use it to darken the other colours, if that makes any sense. So if I scratch a black, it's a bit of a warmer black, so it goes better. Oh, thank goodness for that, Suzanne. We've all been really worried about you because we couldn't get hold of you. So hopefully you'll be on the mend. So we've got ivory black and gunmetal and French grey, but the black is just going where I put the chocolate and the carmine to give it a bit of darkness. It makes all the difference when you have a good doctor, doesn't it? I don't have a particular good doctor, so I'm struggling at the minute. But I'm going to do some videos. My daughter's going to help me do some videos for the Disabled Bunnies channel, and that will be how to cook things easily, how I've arranged the fridge, and basically things to make life a bit easier when either you get tired a lot or you just don't have the energy for things. Now I've done this, I don't know if that was the right gunmetal, but I don't think it was, but actually we might be fine. Of course, she's got to have some really and I'm just going to put the tiniest little bit of black. Excuse me. Yes, we were so pleased when you were mended. I'm not sure if these two greys go together, but and I've got to remember that this isn't watercolor paper, so it can't be too. We can't be too wet, really. Now we do the ears. And of course, Alfie missed his Auntie Susie. He's been a naughty boy. Because you haven't been there to tell him off, you see. So he's been saying, well, I can do what I want now. So he's been a real bad boy. And of course, the new girl has shown him up because she's very good. So he's not doing himself any favours by being a bad puppy. But then he wouldn't be the Alfie that we know and love, would he? It's very strong, that one. I think it's the black that's the worst grey on here. So maybe the black. I didn't test the black, you see. Should have tested the black. My goodness, that's a long tail. Oh, excuse me. Just put that down there. So yes, Alfie's been shown up by the new girl because of course she's so good and so clean, and she really tells him off when he's doing an unmentionable on the floor, because she knows that's wrong. And because I did actually put the gunmetal in there, I'm going to have to put the black one in there. So let's start with the little mouth. Haven't done the eyelids, I've just left the eyelids for the minute. This grey, this black is a very dull grey. It's a greeny grey for a black. It's quite an unusual black. So it serves me right. I should have tested it first, but I think it's okay. Oh, bless Suzanne. Is that 6 months of colouring then? 6 months of pampering and doing. Right. Oh well, speedy recovery, Suzanne. And Alfie will send his best barks. As if Alfie cares about anybody but himself, but we can think, can't we? Oh, I quite like the little grey mice. I don't normally do grey. Oh, making jewellery. Wow. I used to do that a long time ago, but I think my hands are kind of a bit done now, bless them. Right, so I've put... Now, at the back here, that's the P list. I've got my colours in slightly different order. I put the black and the white at the end, so they're not in actual numerical order for me. So we've got the wings. There's an acorn. And I think we shall have Copper Beech and chocolate, I think, for that. And Copper Beech is the pale one, and then chocolate is around the outside. Since we're doing it quite strong, we want brown ochre. In fact, I might do these little ties. I might do those brown ochre as well. Pick the brush up. We want some more greens. Now, I know some people leave all their pencils out, but I kind of just like to put them back where they go. That was two then. They just seem to go there a lot easier. Let me see if I can just move this camera about a bit. Oh my goodness me, sorry guys. In and out and in and out. For goodness sake, settle down, you lot. Just settle down. Oh, here's Frankie to come to say hi. Hi, Frankie. Hello, darling. Hello. Here's Frankie. She's a good girl. Sit. Good girl. Good girl, Frankie. Oh, she's gone. She hasn't quite got stay yet, but she hasn't quite got stay yet, but she's getting there. So Frankie's been bought for Amy for her 21st, because Amy was 21 in June. So I've got some clips and things everywhere now. What have we got to do? We've got some little tiny leaves, so let's have a look at the greens. I've got a bronze and I've got an olive green, and I think they look quite nice together, so I might just do two colours. I like these for that colour, so have green in the middle. Alfie, be a good boy. Shh, shh. Be a good boy. Be a good boy. I don't think he hasn't barked on any of those. So thanks for stopping by, guys. Hope you all have a pleasant afternoon, morning or evening, depending on where you are on the planet. So that was 51 olive green. This is 52 bronze. I missed a stem there. There's a little stem that I've missed. So in order to make And that's a better green. I might put a little bit of cedar green in kind of the middle bit. Remember, when I do the watercolor effect, I use one color and dilute it. Get down, please. Alfie, get down. Get down. It's pinching the cat food. Good boy. Sit down. It's a good boy. So when I do watercoloring, scratch one color and use the brush to manipulate the color. Excuse me. But this way, I'm making sure I'm not watering the color down. I'm just blending strong colors together. Excuse me. So I'm trying not to have any space left on the paper. It's all coloured. It's all the paper's covered in a pencil colour, if that makes any sense. Whereas when I do the really soft, lovely watercolour effects, they've got one colour and then it's been taken to its absolute diluted to the max. So you get some beautiful soft tones from one colour. But this is mixing two colours together. Sorry guys, when I move the table it wobbles. So we start in the middle and then we bring in that green. And then we push the brown to the tip, to the line. So we get quite a nice effect. Oh, thank you, Pamela. Thank you. I've missed one there. I have to remember what colours I did and go back. I don't have any kind of oak leaves. They're a bit oak leafy out there. So I don't have any more oak leaves. So I can put these colours back. So the oak leaves, oops, my colour guide. I had 51, 50 and 52. So that was olive green, cedar green and bronze. Excuse me. So I can put those back and look at the other greens that I've got. And they're quite nice to keep them the right way up so we can read them at a glance. So the toadstool, I think that's the toadstool. That might be the hair. No, 57, 61 and 66, I think. I'm thinking that might be the hair actually. I don't know if I used chocolate on that. I can't remember what I used for the toadstools. I was a pale one. Oh, It might have been brown ochre. Chocolate. And 61 Copper Beech. I thought that might be for the hair, but right, so that's for the palest one. And it really is just a scribble. I didn't think it was that dark, but never mind. I'll be able to do that just gently. Excuse me, goodness gracious, I don't know where I got this cold from. So I need to do the pale one first. And then go back and get that. And that's made the leaves pop out a little bit. Where's the big girl gone? Nope, the big girl's back in the kitchen. So I've just got a few more leaves. I definitely put the browns away now. Oh, I've just found a hand that I'd forgotten about. But I put these away first. So 56 goes in there. I do like to keep the pencils back because if they drop on the floor, the leads will break. And if you just got in for a sharp point, it's a pest. Excuse me. Oh, hubby's made me a tea. He's made me a nettle tea. Right. So let's look at the greens. It's a really nice array of greens. We've got a paler green at the top, so I think we might go for there's a mineral green with a May green, and as I say, I use indigo as the dark colour, so I think we'll use. We've got a highlight. On this side, I'm going to have a highlight. Or maybe I should say the tip of the leaf would be pale. And I think that's all the leaves. And we will write 48, 45, and indigo is 36. And then what we can do just for a test is go from light to dark. So I like that one. So mineral green. And of course, because every leaf is slightly different, and some leaves have got slightly more pale green than dark green, some have got more of one colour than another. The leaves, although I'm using the same colours, they will vary slightly. And that's quite nice because then they're not all the same. Okay, Frankie in now, Mrs. Hello, Franks. Go and sit down. It's a good girl. Frankie, can you sit down, please? Good girl. Tuck up. Good girl. Go tuck up. Isn't she cute? Come here then. Come here then. Good girl. I know. She's beautiful. She's got lots of bite marks on her face, but she's still beautiful. And she likes her ears played with. Don't you? You're going to be a good girl. You're going to go sit down. Good girl. Good girl. Alfie's. It's all right. She's scared of everything. Everything that's got a stick, anything that moves. She's been beaten, bless her. She's scared of everything. Oh, hi, Colour Creatively. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. Oh. Are we all spinning? I know, darling. Oh, my hand hurts. I know. You just want me to do this all day, don't you? There's a very bad mark on the eye there, isn't there? And bite marks on her face. I know. That's what those. That's a whole complete jaw bite mark on there, isn't it? She's a very pretty girl. She's a very pretty girl, aren't you? And she's quite gentle. She's not aggressive like you know who down there, sitting on the plug socket. Oh no, now you've got dog hair on the end of your nose now. And she's called Frankie because she was called Fifi. So we had to keep the fur, didn't we? We had to keep the fur. Otherwise, we'd have never have got your name, would you, Fifi? De Fifi, de Foo-Foos. I know, you've got dog hairs on, and she's molting like mad, aren't you? But she's such a good girl. Can you sit? Sit. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. She's almost an Alsatian, but she's very short legs. Here we go. Right, we're going to be a good girl and sit down then. Get to lie down. Go sit down. There's a good girl. She would have me do that all day. Right, so we've nearly finished, and we're in Fairy Miracles by Clara Markova. And I'm using my Derwent watercolor pencils in threes. So there's the rule of three. Now you can do it three different ways, or two different ways. You can do three colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, or you can do three colors of the same color, a medium, a light, and a dark. And both of them, you get quite dramatic effects. So if I was going, I don't know if I've done one of these. These are just a drop of a bit of watercolor and then making it to go pale. The same technique, but instead of using three colors, I've used one and taken the bit of color and just used the water brush, and it makes these beautiful, delicate watercolors. But I'm not using it on watercolor paper. There we were using it a bit stronger, and I've done two colors. I think I've used two colors to blend there. That's the same with what I call touch and go, which is very quick. I tried this earlier, but I didn't have my brushes, so I'm going to do this one next. So in part one, I was working with exactly the same technique, but I was using my ordinary paintbrushes. So my sable, I've got a 3-0, a 2-0, a 1 and a 4. And it's exactly the same, but then when I moved, hubby brought me everything in the room because my table wouldn't hold the book. And of course I forgot everything. So I've done this exactly the same one, exactly the same way of working, 3 colors, but I'm using the Derwent watercolor brush. So it's a lot faster and you're not moving your arm to clean your brush every minute. You just got your water in the brush. And it's a lovely fine point, so you can get some really nice detailing. And if I could only have one brush and one set of watercolors, I would have the Derwent watercolor pencils and the Derwent #1 brush. These are my favorite. I can work in lots of different ways. You can blend them as a pencil, you can blend them with water, you can mix them together, you can use them on a watercolor with watercolor papers, you can scratch color into a well and add water and make a wash. They dissolve in water just as pan colors do. You can splatter, you can spray, you can do all sorts of wonderful things with a pencil. You cannot do with a watercolor that is in a pan or in a tube. So these are far more versatile. And I will be doing a video on lots of different techniques when I did a quick sketch of Alfie, and I also did a very quick sketch of one of the crosses in the Abbey, and that beautiful decaying, crumbly cream stonework and the silver shiny reflection from the cross makes a variation. So I'm going to be doing that in a proper, what I call a proper watercolor, not just a quick watercolor sketch, but I will be using these pencils. I love them. The only difference is I have a vintage set. So if you see these now and they are this color, I find them a better pencil because they are slightly waxier. If you look, there is a sheen to this one. In fact, I think that one is actually May green. They're exactly the same color, but there's just, I think the strip is bigger, a millimeter bigger, but there is just a bit of sheen on this one than this one. And the wood is better because obviously now we've got to do sustainable wood. So the wood is a lower quality, but it's still brilliant. But this one, they'll never come away at all. But I prefer the older one. Now, if you see one older still, this is one of the original ones. Now, they may be 30 years old more. These are definitely 20 years old plus. These are probably 30 years, 40 years old, these. From the 80s, so it'd be 40 years. A gentleman called David Cook did a video for Derwent, and he used this one, the grey one. Then we have this one, and now we have this one. But this is what I've been using today. Absolutely love them. The pigment is identical. It's just they've had to use a slightly different wood throughout the years, as you can see. Anybody got questions? Oh, my shoes, are they my bunny? They're actually my daughter's. And Frankie has pulled the pom-poms off. So where were we? Oh, I've just got these colours now. Right. So I didn't think it would be fair to use this set. But if you see this set, it's more vintagey. I've just bought 2, actually. I was selling 2. He'd bought for his daughters and they'd never used them. So I've just bought them. But there's nothing wrong with these. They're just that very slightly different. I did a comparison. The pigment is exactly the same. It's just the slightly change. They must have changed the binder very slightly. when they did the new one. So I scratched in those 3 colours, and I'm going to do this now. Right, sorry, Alfie distracted me. So again, I can't get in here very well, so I'm going to flip the book upside down. Remember, you have to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, you will not colour for a long time. And then, I've just forgotten something to do. I didn't do the indigo, so I can't touch that now because it's very wet. So I'm just going to put one scratch. I've missed a leaf there, look. So I need to put a little bit of that blue in there. I seem to have missed quite a lot of these. So I need to put the indigo the back of them all for the shadow. And of course it's wonderful because we're going to have a lovely shadow where we've got a highlight, and that's going to look so good. And this one. Now the other thing is, when I did that, I've done a video with the Kirby Roseanne book with the pineapples, and I think I matched up. I looked for a pineapple online, and I matched up about 16 colours, and I scratched them all together like that, and then I blended them. So again, that's why I love the pencils, because they just melt. So really, I should be washing this brush out, but you can see what's happening. They just blend into the most amazing tones that in reality shouldn't really work, if that makes any sense. Hope that makes sense. Hi Tina, anybody else popping in? Hope everybody's well. I seem to have a really croaky voice today. Sorry guys. So I thought I might as well. Oh, I've missed one. Always miss one. That really is in the crease, that one. It's just hiding behind there, look. I don't think I'm going to put the darker one on that one. So tie it that way round, and now of course the berries have come because they have the leaves behind them now. So let's start with that one. They just melt like butter. So even though you can see all those scribble marks, and of course the beauty of this is you could do this on every page, and you could do the whole book, and all you'd have to take with you is a watercolor brush, and you've got a whole book to color on holiday or wherever you're going, on the beach. And your precious pencils you can leave behind, or you could color a whole book in and give it as a Christmas present to somebody in hospital, or somebody with in a home, or somebody, the elderly, somebody that needs art therapy. If you don't want to buy them the expensive pencils. It works with the Neocolor 2s. The problem with the Neos is because it's a crayon, when you shut the book, a little bit of color will come off. Now, this one isn't quite single-sided, but you could put a piece of greaseproof paper between each page or photocopy paper, whichever is easiest. But if you did it with pencil, nothing rubs off until you activate it with water. So if you started now, you could probably fill a whole book with colour, just scratching a little bit of colour, and ready for Christmas as a Christmas present. I know you shouldn't say the Christmas word, but if you started now to do the first method I did, scratch the colour, and then give them the brush and that, you've probably got about a £10–15 present. But that is priceless when you think about what you're doing. I've got a couple of more leaves. Oh, I found some more leaves. Look here. Come on, Frankie, settle down, darling. It's because hubby's gone out and Sam's not here, and she worries all the time. She's settled in, but of course she's been to a couple of other homes for a couple of months, and then there she's like, she knows her place. Alfie's toys. Good girl, Frankie. Alfie's toys. And Alfie's by my feet. Sorry, guys. Oh, Suzanne says, oh, wax paper or parchment. Yeah, anything to go between that's cheap and cheerful. I find if you did with Neos, you'd put a piece of photocopy paper between, your book would be stuffed because you're doubling the pages. But if you did it with the pencils, you could do that and shut the book and it would not go on the other side. But I have noticed when I've done them and shut the book, a little bit of Neo has gone on the other side because it's a crayon and the pigment is different. The binder is different. It's a crayon. It's a waxier crayon. I think that's her leg. I keep saying that. Right, I think I've got all those activated. And because there's a bit of colour on the end, I can just carry on. And I've done the branch as well. So I can just take technically it's a bit woody colour, that, isn't it? I'm going to leave that. Right, so back to the greens. The greens back. And you could also do that for a child. If your children keep saying, oh, Mummy, I want to use your pencils, and you're going, no, not on your Nelly. If you scratch one of these while you're watching television between now and Christmas, you can give them a water brush and they can do things with you, and you know, they can learn how to use a brush, and there's going to be no mess, there's no water spilled. They can have that and their very own colour book, and you will be surprised and amazed how good children can be colouring in. Where else are we going to be now? I've got those and those, they're different, and I must remember flesh pink and do the arm just to get rid of that off-white color. The only thing that's white is the background and the little fronds on the toadstools. So I need a bit of a green now. There is a mineral green. I don't. What's that one? That's May green. I've used May green, so I'm going to use grass green and cedar green, I think. So this one, again, to make it different, you can go on the outside. And there's another one somewhere here. And here. And then the cedar green. And then last, I think I'm going to go back to my indigo. And do the tips this time. And see if they look different. It's difficult at the ends. And then back to the brush. Start where the palest. When they start to mix, we take that one. Oops. Same with that one. And the other trick I normally do is I take a piece of photocopy paper and I put it behind so that when you're dealing with an edge, you don't muck it up. And you see, if you mess about too much, you lose that beautiful highlight. Again, we kind of activate that one and that one. We take that one down. So you can activate whichever colours you want most. If you take them dark to light, you will lose your highlight. And if you take them light to dark, you keep your lovely highlight. So if you want to tone it down, just wipe over the top the other way. It will be toned down a bit. I should have taken this upside down, this one, because it's a bit in your way, really. So we've got the wings to do, we've got her leg to do, and an unusual shrub. I think I'm just going to go with 2 colours on this one. So we start with the green, and then we go around for the blue. and then we get that blue tinge on the end. I quite like that. It's a little bit darker, but of course it's underneath. So we'll put 36 blue away, and 50 and 47. Yes, yes, Suzanne. We should not blame. We should not slam it in someone's face for sure. But express. Yes, everything's good in. Oh, look what I found. So, and again, I can't remember the colours I used, so I have to look back to 61, 66, and 57. I found the leg of a toadstool hiding here. Very bad. Any more toadstools? No, I think that's it. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of chocolate. Oh, this is the one that's a bit wobbly. Not steadier than I can. Oh, I've got a bit of brown on there, so I'm just going to put that on there. So when I go for this one, and that one, if the area is too small, you can always touch the end of the paintbrush and paint it in. And then there's one other thing to do, which I think I was going to do those dark, not light. I was going to do those carmine, but I've done them light. I can always go back over them with a darker colour if I want to. But again, it gets rid of the stark white. I haven't done the wings on the mouse. Oh. Oh, hello, Melissa. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. Is that in capitals, Suzanne? See if I can. Oops. Is that the one that says something about parchment paper? Sorry, Suzanne. What did I mean? Sorry, Suzanne, I'm a bit slow today. We have some sunshine. Sunshine room. We have some sunshine in the sunshine room. I could do that. Might be better. Oh, sorry, Suzanne, I've lost my drift now. Oh, it's about Christmas, the world, the word. It's about Christmas. Christmas, the word. Just 2 seconds. Me see. Oh, sorry, Suzanne. I'm not doing very well today, am I? I apologize. I'm sorry. I've got the brain's a bit gaga today. I did take 2 strong pills last night, and it makes me dopey the next day. They make me dopey the next day. I think you're supposed to take them about tea time, so they kick in about 10 o'clock. But I take them when I go to bed. So if it's midnight or 2 when I take them, they obviously make me dopey. I'm a dopey anyway. I've just got his little wings to do, and I think that page is finished. I have actually finished a page. Yes. I don't finish pages normally. And again, that's the other thing I like about it. It's been 4 hours, and I've nearly 4 hours, and I've done a page. So that's, a weekend or a couple of hours a night for the weekend, 2 hours. So again, it's a very fast way to work. If you are using all these blending for pencils, your hands would kill you by now. They would be dropping off, and you couldn't work 4 hours solidly. It would really hurt. So I love working this way because you get a blended pencil effect without the pain. So I always like that. Let's have a look at colors. Oh, we haven't used turquoise, have we, in blue? So let's have, we've got a kingfisher blue and a turquoise blue. Ooh. And a water green. No. No. Sky blue, I think. Oriental blue is quite nice, but I've picked these 2. So again, what we can do is, I am going to find a little book for next week so I can keep all these color combinations in. So that one is number 34, 39, and 38. Kingfisher blue. And take the wonderful pens, the watercolour pen, and turn it around, do it properly, Heather. Activate that blue to activate that blue, and then activate that blue. I think that's quite nice. So the palest colour is the pale blue on the tips of the wings. In theory, we should have a dark next to a light in a minute. And then we've got the medium one. And again, we are scratching colour, but it's fine. And then lastly, again, I've just got to see what I'm doing because I can't see it very well. Kingfisher blue. So it's going to be across. Oh, Suzanne said she's the same. Yeah, they're good when they do, but they're not good because they make you a bit kind of. Ugh. So activate that pale one first, and then we'll bring in that one. Take it down there. Clean the brush. Activate that lovely pale one to that one. And when that's dry, I could put a little bit more to it if I want to. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. So what have we got now? Have we missed anything? I always miss things. Oh, the little flowers on here. I did her leg, didn't I? And I did her arm. So we need some little flowers, and I think I might actually use a pink. I've not used a pink. I know you don't always have to kind of do that, but sometimes you want to. So we pop these back. And I don't put them back because I have to have everything in order. It's so easy to bob them back. And then they're in the place where you know where they are. Because if I have my pen, I drop them, I break the nibs, and it's just a disaster. So I always find a lot easier. The only thing to be careful is if you put it on top of your page, because this is lovely, it will come off. And the same with the Neos. So if you want to put that on there, put a piece of paper and then put it there, then your colours are next to you. But I always find that I scratch colour because that's how well pigmented they are. So we want some little, I just don't have the pink. There's a crimson lake and there's a madder carmine. Just looking. Oh, we've got lots of green. Let's have a quick look. We've got yellows, we've done greens and blues. I suppose we could have a blue like a French ultramarine. There's a violet blue there. Normally ultramarine blue, Delft blue, I think is quite nice. So I think we're just going to have a colour. And if it's too of a tinier space, then take the little brush, and you can do this with a damp brush as well, and just go in there. But this Derwent brush is so delicate. You go over the middle as well. Now I'm only showing you the technique, but I wouldn't normally do that over my work because it will splatter. But again, that's just how amazing these are. So it's a bit dark, but it's okay. Oh, I've left his arm out, you see? This is not good. A crazy woman leaving her colours out. So I think there was a French grey in there somewhere. And a gunmetal grey. So I do remember some things, unusual things like using a gunmetal for a mouse. You see, I can remember that. And then I think I had that little bit nasty black. It's definitely a green black, is that one? It's not a proper black as such. So we'll start with the palest and remember to get all that blue out first. And then we'll just go in there with a bit of a... See, I've lost it now. So if I had a type of paintbrush, I could go in there and take that off. So I've managed to save his arm just. just. I kind of like this colour combination. I really like that. Didn't think I would. I think this could be a little bit more pink in there. So although it looks dry now, it's been wet. If you look on the back, there's a few kind of kinkly bits. It's still quite flat, but I've been quite pushing and rubbing, which paper doesn't normally like. So if you wanted another, I would leave it 24 hours. Then I could scratch over the top the same amount of colour that I've just done. I don't think it was geranium light, was it? You see, you can just go back over it and build up another layer if you wanted to, and you can do a different colour. You don't have to do the same colour. Although it's not going to like this now because it's been wet today once. So again, that's why I would leave it 24 hours at least, and then come back and put more colour on it. That's quite a good way to do things. I love the very pale little flowers. I think they're really sweet, those. Again, it's not normally my style, that. Not working with putting a pale pink down, but they are really, really pale and quite pretty. See if I can put autofocus on. That might help. I don't know if you can actually focus on the paleness of them. Come on, focus. You know you want to. I do like those colours as well. So I quite like how it turned out. Oh, there's an Alfie leg. See if we can get the whole lot on me. Maybe just. So I do like that actually, and it's a fairly easy way to do. Oh, thank you, darling. Thank you, Pamela. I think it's a fairly easy way to work. The way I worked the other day with the different watercolors, I like that, but you can get this effect the same, but you just use one color. So you'd scratch one color and then you manipulate it, which I'll probably do on another page. So I might stop this one and go back to the beginning of this one. Tilt that, does it make any difference? Just easier for me to have it at a slight tilt if I could. I think my camera. So this way was scratching, and it exactly the same way, 3 colours, but I was using an ordinary brush, or a watercolour brush, a thin brush. I wasn't, I don't know why they've gone all split at the end. It's a bit weird. It's almost like I had a soap or something. So you might sometimes think that pure sable brushes, especially my number 7s, my Nova Winsor Newton Series 7, are too nice to work in a colour book, but you don't have to use those. It's just that it's quite nice to work with nice paintbrushes, and I have them to do my botanical drawings. So I quite like the colours, and I like the fact that we can get bold colours here, and we're not using ink tens. We're just using ordinary watercolours, if that makes sense. But by using them and using 3 colours, from a light to a dark of a particular colour, you get real intensity and real strong colour. And I do like working with the touch and go system, but I do like this kind of blended. I think the last time I got bright colours like that, I used the wax pastels, and they're difficult for my hands because you have to blend them. Excuse me, I wanted to yawn and cough at the same time. Has anybody got any questions? So I think I'll stop that video, and I'll grab my other paintbrushes, and I'll finish this one off with an ordinary brush, not a watercolor brush, an ordinary brush, although it's so easy with the Derwent brush. So I shall be back in a little while. Oopsie. So I'll be back in a second, guys, for part 2 of the other page. But thanks for watching me colouring Derwent watercolour pencils. Hopefully I should be back in about for watching.